What's up, fellas? It's been a minute since we've done a PowerPoint presentation style, and so I've been cooking up something for us. I actually made this presentation, I don't even know, a month ago, 2 months ago, something. I've been busy with work, and so I really haven't had a chance to practice this or even review it. So we're just jumping in. All right, these are thoughts I had a month ago. I stand by them, of course. But if I seem a little disheveled, it's almost like I'm reading this for the first time because that's how my brain works, right? It's a little ADHD. Thoughts occur, decisions are made, which of course I stand by, right? Because I believe in my process. But a month later, I mean, it's like we're talking to a different person. That's a little dramatic. You get what I'm saying. Let's dive into this, all right? We're going to talk about the White Monster. Of course, I'm talking about an energy drink, right? Monster's energy drink. They're 0-calorie White Monster. Is this the perfect energy drink? So let's dive into this. Some things. What is a critical review? That's a great question. So a critical review is where we will be carefully analyzing and assessing all the existing literature and forming a conclusion. So all of the research, any publications, anything that's been out there, we're going to overview all of it and make an assessment, right? Forming a conclusion based on the critical research. There is no existing literature on the White Monster energy drink. I checked a lot of the main repositories of information, the places I usually go to. So we looked at PubMed, we looked at Google Scholar, which is really just kind of directing you to all these other ones. ResearchGate, the Library of Congress, the website, of course. I don't live nearby the Library of Congress. Science.gov, anywhere that I thought was reputable and the places that I usually go for information. I mean, you know I'm good for it. We did a whole video on how to read an abstract, really breaking down the abstract and sort of the strengths of what you get from an abstract, but also what you're missing because you miss the methods and how they actually construct the study and blah, blah, blah. So I know these sites, right? I'm not saying this is a perfect review, but this is a perfect review. Yeah, why would I ever doubt myself like that? Anyway, here we go. Flavor. Of course it's a 9 out of 10. How could I give it anything less? It's delicious. It's crisp. It's refreshing. I couldn't really explain what the flavor is. You tell me, what is the White Monster energy drink flavor? You know, it's not berry. It's not lemon, although it's got hints of lemon in there. It's officially just labeled as citrus per the Monster website. I went and looked at it because I was like, well, what do they call their flavor? Citrus. It goes great over crushed ice. It's still good even when it's warm somehow. I'm not saying I like a warm energy drink, especially one that's like really carbonated. If it's warm and it's carbonated, you burp a lot more. I don't know the science behind that. That's just my perception. I'm saying that even though it's warm and most drinks are like, no, thank you, this one I would still be like, yes, please, even when it's warm. You got to hand it to them. They really nailed it on this flavor. Citrus, whatever that is. 9 out of 10, and I stand by that. It's a 9 out of 10 flavor. How many flavors are better? Right? There are better flavors out there, and that's why there's the potential for a 10 out of 10, but not that many flavors, right? It's a 9 out of 10. I'm not, you can't argue with me on that. I think we all agree. Size, 9 out of 10. And here's what I mean by size, right? When we're talking about an energy drink, there's an ideal amount of liquid that you want to consume. You want to consume enough that you get to enjoy the beverage for an amount of time, right? You don't want it to be gone immediately. But you also don't want to be drinking this thing all day. If you want to sip it all day, that's fine. That's different. That's because you're changing your behavior. You're changing your protocol for deploying the caffeine, right? The caffeine deployment protocol. That's what you're adjusting. But you want there to be not so much liquid that if you need energy now and you're trying to get somewhere, you're like let's make something happen with this caffeine. You can sip it for a few minutes and, we're getting somewhere productive with the consumption because it's not enormous, right? It's officially 16 fluid ounces, or much more technically 473 milliliters of fluid. That was a very precise amount, but that's what they listed, so I thought that was important to put here. It is a good size for refreshment. That's what I said. What do I mean by that? If you're like, I'm thirsty and I need caffeine, right? It's not a 5-hour energy drink. It's not a 8-ounce whatever. 16 fluid ounces is legit, right? You will be refreshed in that amount of liquid, as well as consuming caffeine. And then it's the ideal caffeine to liquid ratio. Again, what do I mean by that? This is for my people who've been drinking some energy drinks. You'll know what I'm talking about when I break this down. Somebody who's newer to energy drinks or just doesn't really like them, they won't get this. For those of us who've been smashing some energy drinks, here's what I mean. It's the right amount of caffeine per liquid to where you will be energized if you're drinking it, right? It's not a negligible amount of caffeine. It's not like 70 milligrams, which is not nothing, but 70 milligrams spread across 16 fluid ounces, like you're gonna have to drink that whole thing fast to get, you know, some sort of appreciable amount of energy from the 70 milligrams, and now your belly's kind of sloshing around. You had to smash that energy drink. You didn't get to enjoy it very long, right? You're like, I need to hit critical caffeine blood serum levels, and I need to get there quick. On the other hand, you got energy drinks that are 300 milligrams, which is, for some people, not a lot. They're not fazed by that. They're not impressed, but your heart is impressed, right? Even if you don't feel energy drinks, it does have an impact on you, whether you feel it or not, whether you perceive it in your energy levels or not. And so what I mean is, if you've got a 300 milligram per 16 fluid ounces energy drink and you're sipping it, you don't have to sip it very long before you're like, dang, I'm kind of going crazy. I'm tweaking a little bit, you know? You got that scale of locked into tweaking, and for some people, they can drink the whole thing and they're still locked in. That's fine. For me, if we're talking about a lot of caffeine, there's that, you know, perfect line where I hit it and I'm locked in and I'm not tweaking. And then if I go over that, oops, now I'm anxious. Now my hands are shaky. Now my mouth is dry. Now I'm like, oh, blah, 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 which I sort of am like that anyway. You guys know this. You watch my videos. I already talk fast. You know I don't need to be going crazy on caffeine, right? So if you got 300 milligrams of caffeine in a 16 fluid ounce energy drink, sometimes you can't drink very much of it before you start crossing into the danger zone. So what we want is the ideal ratio, 16 fluid ounces and the right amount of caffeine. This is, of course, up for discussion. Some people would say 16 fluid ounces, 200 milligrams of caffeine. Some people would say 16 fluid ounces, 100 milligrams of caffeine. This is pretty much splitting it down the middle, 140, right? It depends. I think the European version technically has 160, and there's other iterations, but we're just throwing out the 140 because that's what's available to me at a gas station. If I walk in to Walmart, that's what's going to be on the shelf. And I feel like that's ideal. I thought about this a lot. My energy drink drinking fellows will know what I'm talking about. They might have slightly different preferences, but the ratio still stands, right? Had to give it a 9 out of 10. Ideal. The design. I might get some flack on this, and you got to bear with me on this, okay? It is a 4 out of 10. It's objectively a bad design. What is this design? My bubble is covering up part of the drink, but you've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. It signifies nothing. It's got the monster slash, so you know that it's a monster. All right, that's fine. That throws it a point. It's got all this like crazy flower slash waves. What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? The thing that is important is that it's got the monster symbol and it's white, right? And so that's what's recognizable about this, okay? I am a product marketer for my career. I design products. So I am the person who can talk about this. I can talk about this with authority. You can be like, it's an iconic design. No, it's not an iconic design. It's iconic despite its design, right? Somehow we all know when you walk into the gas station, you can see that thing from the back of the gas station inside of the cooler, and you know exactly what it is. It's successful despite its bad design, right? And that's because we're giving it 9 out of 10s on just about everything else. You can't argue with me. It's a bad design, all right? The words, the name don't make sense. Zero Ultra, we don't even call it that. We call it a white monster. We don't call it a Monster Zero Ultra, okay? As I said here, its saving grace is that it is so recognizable. You see this in the gas station. You're not thinking it's any other drink. It's a white monster. You're not like, I think that's a white monster or. No, you know exactly what it is. That's its saving grace. The other thing that saves it is Monster very smartly realizes that it's been successful despite its design. So it hasn't changed the design at all, which is very smart, right? Again, this is something I do for my job. I feel like I am, the authority to say this thing. Maybe not the authority, but an authority. So it's successful despite its design, right? And it's because it's so recognizable. There's nothing else that you can confuse it for. You're like, I know exactly what that is when you see it. And you're like, this thing's about to hit. It's about to taste so good. The ingredients. Oh, you thought it couldn't get worse. The ingredients are bad. It's a 2 out of 10. But listen, that doesn't mean it's a bad drink, right? We're going to average all this out. The best things about it, it's got caffeine and it's zero sugar. That's good. We don't need 60 grams of sugar exploding our blood sugar levels and then causing a crazy insulin response. And of course, if you do that too many times, then depending on your genetics and your lifestyle and your body weight and all these things, your body's insulin response can get very bad, right? Your body can get insulin resistant. And I can give you a biology lesson on that a different day. That's what I went to college for. Fun fact. No appreciable dosage of any other ingredient. Everything is less than the salt content. Again, me talking to you is covering the ingredients list, but energy drinks will do this all the time. They'll say, hey, we've got BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. That's like the building blocks of protein. Specifically, that's the 3 most important ones that our body can't synthesize itself. It has to intake. So they'll throw that out there. We got BCAAs in here. We got beta alanine. We got taurine. We got all these performance enhancers. But just having some, dusting of these ingredients is not going to make them effective. It's not going to make them have any effect on you at all, except to just say that they're within the drink and slightly drive up the price because it costs money to put that in there, right? And if it's less than the salt content, which is 370 milligrams, which is not a small amount of salt, by the way, but it's a small amount of anything else, that's how you know it's not effective, right? Yes, it's got B12, right? And we've got 490% of our daily value of B12, but it's not even the good version of B12, right? It's the version that has like a metabolite of cyanide in it. And again, I can give you a biology lesson on that. I'm not saying it's poisonous. I'm just saying there are better iterations of B12 out there. They threw this one in there just for the marketing. So again, ingredients, 2 out of 10, the saving graces, 0 sugar, that's a big deal. And caffeine, right? It's got what it says it's got in there. Function. Now we're giving this a 10 out of 10. We don't got to talk about this too long because it does exactly what it says it does, baby. It's an energy drink. It's got caffeine. You're going to feel good. This is a functioning product and it functions every time. There's no quality assurance thing here where you're like, okay, how long is this power drill going to work before you got to replace a part or throw the thing away? This is a functioning product. Every time you get this energy drink, it's going to do what it says it's going to do, right? It's going to provide to you caffeine. It's going to increase your caffeine blood serum levels, like we talked about. Functions 10 out of 10. Not much more to say about that. Price. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Of course, price is subjective for a lot of reasons. It's subjective in the eyes of the beholder. It is subjective in the region that you're in. It's subjective in the year that you're in. There's a lot of things that make it subjective, but we're going to approach this as objectively as possible. Currently, this energy drink sells for $2 to $5 per drink. That's based on my research, depending on the location, depending on the seller. That, of course, is not including sale prices. So you can find this thing 10 for 10, like $1 per. You can probably find it cheaper than that if you buy a big batch of them. If you buy it direct from the distributor, you might be able to get a crazy deal. I don't know. Maybe the person who's watching this video owns a chain of gas stations. I don't know what prices you're getting these at. This is based on my independent research to the individual consumer, the you or I who is like, I need an energy drink. I'm going to go into Walmart. I'm going to go into Kroger. Right? The main competitors here, we did a little market analysis. It mainly competes with Rockstar's Pure Zero, and then Rockstar also has a zero sugar. Again, not great names, but they tell you what they are. It also competes with Venom. Venom is sort of we would call it an off-brand. It is a brand, but it's an off-brand energy drink. It's cheaper, but much lower quality. The ingredients are even worse, so it doesn't compete perfectly with Venom, but Venom is sort of sold in the same places and in sort of sold around the same price points, right? So when you're looking for a cheap energy drink, somebody who's looking for an Alani or for a Reign is probably not buying a White Monster. I'm not saying they never would, but if you're looking for an Alani, you're looking for a certain type of energy drink. If you're looking for a Reign or a Bang or something, you're looking for more caffeine. So technically it doesn't compete with those markets. It competes with things like Venom and Rockstar because it's right around the same price, sold in the same places, and delivers a similar amount of caffeine as well as the other things that make the product unique. I said large Red Bull and Bang, Reign kind of competitors. I don't know what I was trying to say here. I think I was basically trying to say exactly what I just said before. Red Bull, obviously, is probably the biggest energy drink in this space. Actually, the last time I looked at it, it is the biggest energy drink in the space. It's probably the most successful. I could do a whole other video on Red Bull. Red Bull is a masterclass in marketing, specifically product marketing, and I'll save that for a different video because it's a really good topic. You guys would learn a lot from it. It competes with Red Bull and Bang and Reign, kind of, because again, it is an energy drink, which is what those things are. You drink it, it gives you caffeine. So in that way, it does compete with those. But somebody who's looking to buy a Red Bull is most likely not going to be looking to buy a White Monster. There's exceptions to that, but in general, the psychology of somebody who is a Red Bull drinker, they are suspicious of other energy drinks. I'm kind of giving you a sneak peek on the whole marketing masterclass thing. And then Bang and Reign, of course, have double the caffeine and sort of are going after more of the fitness market, the high stimulant market. It's just a different type of person who buys that energy drink. So it technically competes in that space, but not really, right? It doesn't have strong competition there. Interesting side note, and this blew my mind. Monster Beverage Corporation, so the company that makes this, is the best performing stock of the last 30 years. So this is not me making this statement. This is according to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ says yes. It has a 117, I can't even say this right because it's such a big number, 117, 360% increase. So 117,000% is what I'm trying to say. 100,000 plus 17,000. 117,000% increase in value over its lifespan. That was such a tongue twister. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say that, but it was. Over 30% return on investment every year during that time frame. Every year that you held a Monster energy drink, Monster beverage stock, you got a 30% return on your gain every year. So you were like, I'm never selling this because it's making me money right now. And it kept doing that for 30 years. That is the craziest stat to me. Just thought I would throw that out there, right? These people know what they're doing. It's been a bulletproof stock. Crazy side note. Lastly, we got to do the overall score. So we've talked about everything individually. We've made a critical review. We've reviewed the literature. There was no literature. I am the literature at this point. I am the literature, the critical literature on Monster Energy Drink as far as reviewing their products. It's me right now. That's crazy. It's an honor to be here. Lastly, we're going to do the average of all the ratings, which is 7.16 out of 10. We averaged out all of the different facets, the different parts of the product, the function, the price, the size, the ingredients, the competition. We put all those together. We're giving it a 7.16 out of 10. And then that's our objective score. The subjective score, the Bandit score, it gets a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's easy, right? White Monsters, awesome, amazing. How could I give it less than a 9 out of 10? It's an iconic energy drink. The branding is terrible, but somehow amazing at the same time. The value has been great. Like, it's always been around $1 or $2. So many things, prices are inflated, things are crazy. Somehow this energy drink is like, yeah, it's maybe a little more expensive than it used to be. You might be able to get it for $1 10 years ago, but you know, it's not $4 like some energy drinks are, depending on where you are. So yeah, 9 out of 10. This has been an excellent critical review. I would like to hear in the comments, is this the best energy drink? Is it the perfect energy drink? What's better? And anything else that you'd like to comment or argue about, please comment below. I would be very interested. So thank you.